Let me ask you a question. Why is Black Ops 2 Zombies loved so much, despite the fact that it has several problems that seems like nobody actually wants to talk about or acknowledge, or even problems to begin with? Because it has them. Black Ops 2 is fun. I enjoy it for what it is, and I'm not saying I hate it. I like this game, and unlike Black Ops 1, I actually grew up with this. And despite that, I still find the game design decisions in this game's iteration of zombies to be frustratingly baffling. The direction this game shifted zombies in going forward, and the problems that would appear in future Zombies titles first showed up here. And beyond that, this is when the franchise itself began to take the wrong advice from itself and make the whole franchise deteriorate. And this, for me, was that turning point that caused that. From console technology holding the game back to plot and lore decisions that make no sense, this game is the lowest point in regards for zombie storyline, map consistency, game design, and a clear lack of ideas. This makes it the oddball of the franchise for me, and while its highs are great, its lows are the lowest this series had gotten up until this point. Like I said before, this was my first Call of Duty. My grandmother bought it for me at a Best Buy for my birthday in 2013, and somehow my dad allowed me to get it. And I played it on an HP Pavilion laptop that had no right running this game at literal slideshow frames per second. It was terrible, but I didn't care. I had a chance to play Call of Duty games. And those were extremely formative experiences for me. In fact, I'm still friends with people I met on Black Ops 2 that I still play with now. Hi, Philip. I had fun with this game, and I still do, but make no mistake, this game's Zombies mode has several problems. Before we look at the maps in detail proper, some things need to be laid out beforehand. This game tried to do several different things with the Zombies formula, most notably the maps. This game looked at what Black Ops 1 did and said, let's do none of that and all of that at the same time. The game itself tried to experiment with a few new game modes. In Green Run, Buried, and Mob of the Dead, there is a mode called Grief. It is a 4v4 mode where players have to outlast each other while also surviving against zombies. What this tends to devolve into is an 8-player zombie survival match that I have not played a match of since 2013. This is because A, nobody played it, and B, from what I remember, it was a cluster from hell that had server problems that prevented people from actually playing it the way you were supposed to. Speaking of Green Run, it offered several extra maps pulled from its main map, that being Transit, and a gun game style mode called Turned. The farm, bus depot, and town are all separate maps, and in all honesty, was a very neat idea and was implemented kind of well. And it would have been fun if the other maps did something like this if it wasn't abandoned immediately. Town is the foremost out of all of the three, with the other two being a more World at War style experience with either no pack-a-punch in the case of Farm or no perks in the case of Bus Depot. These are a fun novelty, but not the main meat and potatoes what people played this game for outside of quick matches with friends or something to do to pass the time. The main highlight here, and I say this with the thickest lens of sarcasm possible, was Transit. We all know it, we all played it, and we all hated its existence back then just as much as we do now. To be honest, I know Transit is bad. It's poorly designed, the power system is fucking terrible, and there's so many buildables, and the fog all over the place makes this map a complete slog. But somehow, I have nostalgia, or at least a passing enjoyment of it. I'm aware it's objectively bad, but somehow I still have fun with it from time to time. The most glaring issues that Transit has are a result of the console generation's limitations. The Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Wii U, remember this thing? Apparently Scott the Woz is the only one who does, did not have the graphical capability nor memory to render a map of this size. So, they made shortcuts. The bus moves slowly. There's fog everywhere to maintain a consistent frame rate. Lava damages the player, boxing them into certain areas, and finally the denizens. I call them crotch goblins, because all they do is hump you to death and prevent you from going outside the map boundaries in order for the game to work properly. This would be fine. Well, actually it wouldn't, but it'd be more excusable if the Easter egg didn't require to directly interact with these mechanics. Most egregious of all is the jet gun wonder weapon that explodes in your hands if you use it more than it feels like being used. So then you have to run around and find all the parts to assemble it again. Also, some parts are in the aforementioned fog-filled areas, meaning you have to run through these areas that are just nothing but lava and denizens. I did not attain this weapon for this video. In full disclosure, I did the Easter eggs in the last video. I did not do them here. For the most part, these games' Easter eggs are obtuse, confusing, and not worth my time. I tried, I genuinely tried, but I could not bring myself to do so. The only real useful thing in this map is the bank, which can be used between Transit, Die Rise, and Buried, and it breaks a few maps. The most egregious of this is the Pack-a-Punch. which on this map, I have never gotten. It has been one of 2 maps historically that I was unable to get Pack-a-Punch in, and the other one I finally accessed Pack-a-Punch for the first time while making this video, and that's after playing this game for 10 years. Transit has some neat stuff. The map's atmosphere and aesthetic is great. It's very foreboding and it's very Silent Hill-esque atmosphere. I really, really dig it. The bus itself is cool. You can upgrade it by putting a train thing on the front of it to make zombies not be able to jump inside of it, or a ladder to get on top of the bus. Ted's really funny. If you piss him off, he'll kick you off the bus, so keep those EMP grenades away from him. He does not like those. But if you play the map the way you were supposed to, it's a fucking slog. And whenever I play this map, I just get my perks and sit on the bus and drive around shooting zombies out of the windows, because that's the only way I can actually find any enjoyment out of this map. The Ray Gun and Ray Gun Mark II are the wonder weapons for this map in all actuality, and trying anything other than this makes me so irritated. This map is like Tommy Wiseau of zombies maps. It's not good, but for some reason, I enjoy it, and I'm not really sure why I do. Nuketown Zombies is not terrible, but it's also not really all that remarkable. It's a fun distraction, but it has random perk spawns, including Pack-a-Punch, and is quite cramped. The level geometry can also get you stuck, and it's really just a B-grade map. I don't love it or hate it, but it does take place at the same time as M.O.O.N, so that itself is quite neat, but it's nothing really more than a novelty. The next map is... oh, fuck me. Die Rise! I fucking hate this thing! I hate it so much! It is a poorly designed, close-quarters nightmare that is random as all get out. It is unfair, and despite that cheesing it with the prank, this map is a fucking travesty! Zombies on a skyscraper sounds cool, until you realize that this map is designed like an actual skyscraper, and while it's visually interesting, the map design is fucking terrible. It is designed so it has realistic level layouts, which don't work for a zombies map. And I've yet to find an actual viable strategy for this map other than camping on that one room with the sliquifier, and the only redeemable thing about that map is this weapon. It's funny. I can feel like Sheen Estevez shooting purple flurp at everybody. Fuck me. It pisses me off. This map is split between 2 skyscrapers next to each other in Shanghai, China, which admittedly would be cool, but the level geometry is fucking nuts. You get stuck on random objects. Fall damage can kill you immediately, which is more insulting because there's a fucking PhD flopper machine inside of the map. I can see you. Why won't you let me buy it, Zelensky, you fucking bitch? Stop blue balling me and let me have fun. God damn it. The jumping jacks are the worst special round enemy. They're too fast and hit too hard and are unfun to fight. The perks are random, they pop up and down by the elevator, and this includes a Pack-a-Punch and quick revive for most of the game. In solo, this map is hell. In co-op, this map is also hell. I don't like this. I hate this map with an irrationally violent hatred that I just cannot fathom. This map and Transit are the worst map in zombies history, and it pisses me off. Thankfully, the last map of Zelensky's trilogy of terrible trite is buried. This map is easily my second favorite map in Black Ops 2 Zombies, the other of which being Origins. This is a much more laid-back experience, and after the banal grind of the previous 2 maps, I am all here for it. The setting itself is really cool. It nails that the good, the bad, and the ugly Western aesthetic, along with the soundtrack, making this map a lot more jovial in nature. It feels more like a swashbuckling adventure than, say, Killing Floor does, which is what the previous 2 maps were going for in my eyes, and I'm gonna be honest, I miss that style. I really like the direction that was going, not in gameplay, but in aesthetics and tone. But the gameplay of this map does so much more than the previous 2 that it honestly makes up for it. The Time Bomb, the Paralyzer, and Ray Gun Mark II provide for an interesting set of wonder weapons, and overall are really fun to use, but pretty broken. The Time Bomb can be used to easily troll an entire lobby, something I've experienced several times years ago, and the Paralyzer makes traversing this map incredibly easy. The Bank as well also completely breaks the map's progression in ways that the previous 2 hadn't, basically because it's super accessible from the get-go. While Die Rises is pretty much accessible by round 2, because of the way the map itself is structured and the actual hoops you have to jump through to make the map playable and fun for yourself, it's less useful there other than getting through doors, because the amount of RNG crap that's in this map just counteracts any benefit that the bank itself would have. And the difference here is that the way this map plays in its flow, you can get all perks and doors open on round 1. And I've done this. This is really fun, but it should not be this easy to break the map. I get that this was a severe overcorrection and that they were trying to actually, you know, make a map that's fun, but they leaned a little too hard into catering towards the player's want for frickin' power fantasy than actually making the map more balanced, despite how fun this can be. The main way map progression is done is through this guy named Arthur, who I thought was named Leroy. Apparently it's not. His name's Arthur. I've just heard him called Leroy for years. And he has to smash down barricades and can smack zombies with impunity if you give him candy. And you can shoot him by accident and he'll run back to his cage, which means you have to run around the map to find a key. Now, this isn't as much of a pain in the ass, but it still gets kind of annoying, especially mid-round, which sometimes you need to do for certain things, and that just frustrates me. The spooky ghost house is not one of the things I hate. It is pretty annoying, but with proper movement and know-how, you can traverse through the house pretty fast and not get hit. The same can't be said for the maze, which randomizes itself every single time you play the match. I hate this thing. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten stuck trying to get through the map and just progress it normally. I don't like it. If you want to have a maze, make it so it's a set layout and make the actual traversal part difficult because of the zombies, not because of RNG. I don't like it. I get why it's there, but it is annoying as hell. Despite some of the issues that I have with it in regards to its balance, this map's still charming to me, and I enjoy it. I believe it was a step in the right direction. It's not perfect. It certainly has its problems, but it is a B-grade map. It is perfectly fine for what it is, and is a damn sight better than the last two we got. What the fuck? Mob of the Dead and Origins are the maps that people really want to talk about when you're talking about Black Ops 2 Zombies. And I understand why. Out of the 5, well, 6 maps if you count Nuketown Zombies, Mob and Origins are the only real redeemable experiences in the eyes of the community. And honestly, for me as well. But the amount of filleting and hype that these two get, acting like that they are the second coming of Christ in the form of Zombies maps, is just wrong. Are they good maps? Yes. Are they some of the more iconic maps in Zombies? Absolutely. Do they have problems? Oh yeah, and those problems are things that many people actually like about these maps. Foremost among these, and the main subject of this piece of criticism, is Mob of the Dead, a map that I love, but dear God, the amount of hype this map gets is unwarranted. Is it visually unique? Yeah, it's visually beautiful, incredibly interesting, and is striking tonally, musically, everything else. It is a fantastic piece of visual storytelling and tone. It is amazing. It is one of the all-time greats in this category alone for a reason. It has a stellar cast with some of the best gangster film actors in the business. I also really like gangster movies, so seeing these guys in there was amazing for me. And it's entirely disconnected from the zombie storyline. It is its own self-contained thing, and I really enjoy that. You could honestly take this plot, everything involved, and just shove it into a 90-minute movie, and I'd watch the living hell out of it. The map flows very well. The starting room all the way to the docks is great. It has close quarters areas, it has larger areas. Brutus is an interesting boss zombie. The afterlife mechanic is really, really good. It's a nice replacement for Quick Revive. Of course, you don't get the multiplayer benefits of Quick Revive, which is picking up your teammates faster, but hey, it has new ideas, and executes those new ideas really, really well. The optional quests for the Hell's Retriever and the Golden Spork are really quite fun. This map has a lot of gameplay variety and stuff that is quite good. This is a step in the right direction for zombies and improving the actual formula itself. It's a great map. It's a solid A from me. Well, it would be if it weren't for how you attain the Pack-a-Punch in this map. Listen, I am fine with it being more complex and taking longer, but having it as a part of the historically optional Easter egg quest makes me infuriatingly mad. Map progression and setup should not be a part of the Easter egg quest. Ever. And I know that some will say, technically it's always been part of the Easter egg quest, because getting Pack-a-Punch and Power are part of the Easter egg. And while technically that is true, that's not Easter egg steps, that's map setup. Map setup and Easter egg progression are not the same thing. And let me ask you a question. Would you enjoy having to do Simon Says on M.O.O.N to get access to the Pack-a-Punch? No? Would you have to want to find all of the radios on Shangri-La to get access to the Pack-a-Punch on that map? No? Well, congratulations. You proved my point. This should not have been part of the map setup at all. If you wanted to make building the plane a part of the Pack-a-Punch progression, either make the parts easier to get or keep the challenge and reduce the number of them. In my opinion, cutting down the plane parts from about 5 to 3 or 4 and keeping that level of complexity that they already have would be a better challenge balance. Because some of these parts feel like Easter egg steps in themselves, and to be honest, they are. Some people say that this is a positive, allowing for better map challenge. I say it's busy work to distract the player and makes this map's long-term progression a slog. The skill required to get the plane parts is not the problem at all. And this map setting the precedent of the Easter egg being partially required for the map's progression is one thing that would come back to haunt me in future titles, and because of that, I love and resent this map at the same time. More complexity does not equal a better game. More complexity can sometimes equal bloat. Complexity that is engaging and enhances the player's experience is good, but adding busy work and bullshit does not. It doesn't make it smart, it doesn't make it intelligent, it makes it pretentious and a pain in the ass. Despite everything I've said, I do genuinely enjoy Mob of the Dead as a zombies map. It is one of my favorite zombies maps, despite everything I've said. I just feel like it's being judged unfairly in the sense that it's being hyped a bit too hard. I'm not saying that it's bad. It's really not. It's actually a very good piece of game design. But just the map progression and the setup has problems, and it's something I don't hear people talk about. I genuinely don't. And let's be honest here. People huffed copium with this one. We got absolute shit before this. We really did. We did not get anything good. We didn't. And this was the best thing we had. We, as a community, grasped at straws for the best thing we had, and as a result, we ignored any potential flaws it may have because it's better than nothing. But just because something is better than nothing doesn't mean we shouldn't say, hey, this has issues. It means we're holding the devs accountable. And that lack of accountability created a lot of issues going down the line. I just think we need to be more balanced as a community is all. Origins is a map that has issues but in the opposite direction. It doesn't have the gripes I have with Mob in terms of gameplay, but it seems to have dialed the bullshit Sam doesn't like in a zombies map slider all the way to the story side of that spectrum. Like, seriously, that ending is an absolute shit show. What even is that? Origins plays really well. Like Mob, it flows organically, funneling the player to its main areas through clever environmental design and lighting choices. The power system is extended, but all you have to do is turn on 6 generators, running in a circle avoiding crusading zombies to turn it on. It strikes a good balance between the parts hunting of Mob and the Dur-style teleport linking, and is a perfect busy work to difficulty ratio in my mind for a setup quest. The Primus cast makes their first appearance, being the newer versions of the classic Ultimus crew that we had in the World at War and Black Ops 1 maps. I love these characters as they would go on to be extremely well written and dynamic and incredibly relatable. They are the main story addition that I really like in this map. The map's aesthetic itself is very dieselpunk, with giant robots and generators everywhere and pointless pipes connecting to things. It's a very cool look, and that melded with the traditional World War I aesthetic, a conflict as a history buff that never gets any representation, at least before Battlefield 1 came out in regards to video games, was really neat to see, albeit very alternate history-ified. Also, that intro cutscene is frickin' art.
Hey, wanna listen to some tunes?
The Panzer Soldat is the special enemy for this map, and they are quite tanky. They will chase you around and set you on fire, steal you with its giant claw, and then set you on fire, or just smack you. Also, it has a giant jetpack. They aren't super intimidating. It'd be a bit of a hassle if you don't know what you're doing, but generally, if you have the stabs, or the ray gun, or the ray gun Mark II, or anything else that's decent, you should be able to take these guys out no problem. The only danger that could happen is if you're not paying attention, you end up getting smacked by a bunch of zombies. But I like these enemies, and I like that they come back in future titles, albeit a bit more balanced. The optional quests on the map, like the 1-inch punch and the extra staff upgrades, are really cool. They're an expansion on the quests that Mob of the Dead has, and to be honest, this is the best implementation up to this point of those challenges. It's really, really fun. It doesn't funnel you in any specific direction, and the player is given freedom to do whatever the heck they want. I really enjoy this. This is my favorite part of this map, and I always try to do them whenever I'm playing it. This is one of my favorite zombies maps. The gameplay improvements combined with great map design makes this a joy to play. I always look forward to playing this map, and it's easily the main source of nostalgia I have towards this game's zombie component. I've been playing zombies since I was 8 years old. I started with World at War, played this game, then Black Ops 3, and then went to Black Ops 1 after years of playing these three. And something that stuck out to me about World at War and the gameplay loop of 3 is that it reminded me a lot more of Black Ops 1 in regards to its gameplay dynamics and flow, more than this game's gimmicks and experimentation that didn't always land. Black Ops 2 did add improvements to the zombies formula, but some of the positive reception to certain things that I wasn't the biggest fan of and think were issues pushed the mode down the line in a direction that I didn't think was that great. And due to its clear lack of direction, we got 3 different storylines, 4 different map aesthetics, and a wildly different gameplay styles, idea, and quality to the point where this game is a consistently inconsistent in its zombies component. I enjoy Black Ops 2 for what it is, despite its issues. It's not a bad game by any means. I love it, despite its faults. It is a goofy, wonderfully directionless mess, and despite how much I may criticize it, I still love this thing. Have a good night, everyone. Also, Broforce next.